I got a really crazy one.
Let's do crazy.
Okay, crazy is
we can cut it out if you can't, but are you allowed to talk about Klotho yet?
Yeah, I mean, so Peter Attia did a fantastic episode, which we both, I would say, would highly recommend.
Yeah,
with
100%.
Dina, who is a fantastic researcher at UCSF. She has identified a compound called Klotho, which is just absolutely insane.
Yeah. So in fairness, it was identified by a Japanese researcher.
Sorry,
who
my
named
bad.
it.
Mm-hmm. But she's spent a good part of her career.
She is one of the foremost experts in the world, for sure.
Yeah. So she did an episode with Attia that was a deep dive for about an hour and a half, and it is. I mean, do you have the kind of stats in front of you? I can ballpark it if you want.
Why don't you ballpark it?
So the ballpark it, in my understanding, is that Klotho, just so people know, it's naturally produced in humans. Mm-hmm. Especially under high intensity kind of interval exercise. Mm-hmm. So you get more natural level of this. We all have it in our blood right now. Mm-hmm. As you age, you get less of it, okay? So the interesting thing in humans that they know is that people that have there's two genes, there are these genetic polymorphisms, and if you are an overproducer, if you have these SNPs where you're an overproducer, meaning you naturally produce more of this Klotho, you just get dramatically less dementia risk. And even if the very famous gene out there is the ApoE3, ApoE4 genes, whereas if you are a 4 carrier, meaning like most people are 3-3, if you're a 3-4, you're like something like 5 to 7 times more likely to get Alzheimer's. If you're a 4-4, you're kind of fucked. It's like 80% of people get Alzheimer's or something like that. If you have one of these SNPs and you are way more likely to get it, but you're also an overproducer of Klotho, it evens out the playing field.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you don't get you have the same risk of dementia. So there is a lot of, now the crazier shit is like, forget the mouse studies. The mouse studies are all awesome. They reverse dementia and all that shit when they give them Klotho. When you give it to monkeys, even if they don't have dementia, they like instantly, this is a subcutaneous shot.
Monkey limitless.
They instantly become like 20% smarter, like for 4 weeks, instantly from just getting a little boost of Klotho.
It's going to be in the headline, Monkey Limitless.
Dude, it's nuts. It's nuts. So, we're very close to finishing the deal, but at True Ventures, we're writing a very big check that I'm leading around into we're going to get this in humans in the next year and a half. You're going to participate.
I'm already committed.
Attia's going to participate.
And I can read quickly, just for people who want to check it out. So this is the name, I believe it's the name of the episode that Peter has on The Drive, which is his podcast. A breakthrough in Alzheimer's disease, the promising potential of Klotho for brain health, cognitive decline, and as a therapeutic tool for Alzheimer's disease. So I have Alzheimer's on both sides of my family. So this is...
But you're a 3-3 though, right?
I'm a 3-3.
Okay.
But I have been interested in tracking this for so long in terms of possible therapeutic interventions.
Yes.
That's why I studied neuroscience initially as an undergrad.
Yes.
That's why I was initially, the very first check I ever cut for supporting science was for Adam Gazzali and some of his early stuff.
That's awesome.
Way back in the day.
I've also given Adam some cash to go do some cool stuff.
Adam, check him out. He's been on the podcast as well. And the description is, I'll just give you this very quickly. So Dina Dubal is a physician scientist and professor of neurology at UCSF whose work focuses on mechanisms of longevity and brain resilience. In this episode, Dina delves, okay, that's the bitters talking. Dina delves into the intricacies
the Alzheimer's juice
of the longevity factor Klotho, its formation and distribution in the body, the factors such as stress and exercise that impacts its level, and its profound impact on cognitive function and overall brain health. I don't want to skip over the exercise because while you're waiting for this to be available as a subcutaneous or intramuscular shot, I think it should be effective subcutaneous.
That's, by the way, that's the way they've given it to monkeys. It's been, that's the way
sub-Q. It's very easy. Very, very, very simple. It's like using Ozempic or, is Ozempic sub-Q?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Very, very simple to do, not painful. Before that is available, exercise.
Yes.
Exercise is arguably the most potent way to increase your circulating levels of Klotho.
Yes. We're very excited for this. The potential application here is huge, obviously. This could be the Ozempic for the mind. We'll see. We'll know more in a bit, and once this gets funded, excited to see where it goes. But I think this is what I love about just our ability, finally, at this stage in life, Tim. Like you've done so much on the psychedelic research side, which has been amazing. On the philanthropic side, which is like a paid, newsletter where I can have a more private community, and 100% of the proceeds from the first month are going in to fund a Matt Walker sleep study in which he's identified some antioxidants that he believes can repair a bad night's sleep.
Huh. So Matt Walker, for those people who don't recognize the name, amazing, a super sweet guy, brilliant researcher.
Yeah, I just had him on the podcast.
Who also wrote Why We Sleep, which was a mega, mega bestseller.
Yeah. And Matt's such a good, fantastic, like well-rounded researcher in the world.
Beautiful voice too.
Yeah, I mean his accent,
Dulcet, velvet British tones, soothing.
Exactly.
He could read the Cheesecake Factory menu.
He should read your next book. He could be your
and I would listen to it.
Yeah. So that's exciting. Like I'm very excited to I think you and I both enjoy this idea of like moonshots around, science.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's severely underfunded, and if you do get grants,
you can do
forever.
a lot with very little.
A lot with very little. Yeah.
Because otherwise, this is part of why on a lot of levels I find it certainly as exciting as the startup investing.
Yeah.
Is you have these potentially sort of history-bending scientific developments or discoveries that will take years and years and years to fund through traditional grant writing and government support. And if you are able to, I know this is not pocket change, but if you're able to cut a check quickly for say 25, 50 grand, the check I cut for Adam way back in the day was 10 grand. That was a big check for me. You can actually make a difference.
Can I give you an example?
And you can accelerate it quickly. Yeah, please.
So Dina, who's the principal investigator at UCSF around Klotho, I had a conversation with her and I said, hey, what's the study that you want to do right now on Klotho that would take you, a year or so to get the grants and like blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I got this one that, I want to kind of look downstream a little bit further and we can tag Klotho and see where it goes and all this stuff. And I'm like, what does that cost? And she's like, $50K. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, do you have the researchers ready to go? She's like, I could start this tomorrow. I donated some stock that were these little tiny distributions that I had received over time. Yeah. And I just donated stock to her, to UCSF. Yeah. And now she has the funding and she already started the study. Yeah. Like a week and a half later. Yeah. And it's like, I know that's a lot of money to a lot of people. So please, like, I'm not trying to flex here on the cash side, but I'm just saying like, even $1,000.
Flexing so hard.
Sometimes if you get to know these researchers or you hear about something on a Tia's podcast or your podcast where you're like, wow, that's great science being done, you can call them up. You can email them and say, hey, how can I contribute $100 here? And oftentimes it can be tax deductible depending on the organization and like.
Oh, almost always.
Yeah.
Almost always tax deductible. Yeah. And I will say this doesn't have to be a super high concept, doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people motivation. It can be, but it is so exciting and gratifying to catalyze science that could, I think, without making it sound too exaggerated, change the world literally in the case of, say, a Klotho.
Oh, dude.
And the fact that you can expedite it for relatively, the cost of a car,
dude,
is nuts.
So my mom now sometimes, sadly, thinks my sister is her mom.
No,
and she has dementia, and thankfully it's not Alzheimer's. So we've been with this for about 7 years now.
Yeah,
and we're going to put this in humans in a year and a half. My mom's turning 84 in a few weeks, and it's like, I don't know. There's a chance we get this in her in a couple of years, and we get some more great memories back. We get a little bit more of like, I can't guarantee what's going to happen, but even just like a little bit more awareness would be beautiful. Beautiful. So it's like, this is what motivates me more than anything.
And we're at an age also where it's like almost every friend in our same cohort is having this experience.
Oh, 100%.
Right. At least one parent, usually both.
I'm sure there's probably 1,000 people listening right now.
Starting
like,
to fray at the ends.
100%.
And it's so painful to watch. I remember watching my grandparents kind of descend to the point.
Yeah.
Where they didn't necessarily recognize me or my brother or anything like that. And if you could just add a few years, right? Or cut down on the symptoms by 20%.
Totally.
It's so significant.
Yeah.
For not just their quality of life, hopefully, but also the interpersonal relationships.
Yes.
And the whole family.
The relationships is the big
constellation.
Thing. When people go, they go. But just to have that like awareness of who is around you when you do go, I think is just like such a huge deal.